out of foster care this year.
The conversation starts now. Friday, and guess who's back? Tristan's back. He got back a couple of days ago.
Yeah, back from Florida.
It's his first day back in the studio. So what was the big exciting thing in Florida?
Well, since we're basically just right here in the center of the United States,
right.
The nice thing was actually being able to go and walk the beach.
Oh yeah.
And see the palm trees and just a really carefree atmosphere there.
I love the beach, and I probably, as I get older, will probably relocate my family somewhere on a beach.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's nice down there.
Yeah, and relaxing.
Yep, and then you just get to eat on the beach and see the beautiful scenery and everything. So.
Now, where you were at, do you get a drive on the beach?
I believe there's some places that you are able to drive there.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any kind of vehicle to drive there, so I just flew down to Florida.
Okay, yeah, Daytona Beach, you can drive on the beach, and it's a lot of fun because you're right there by the water, and you can people watch and stuff, and just drive right down the beach, and the boardwalk's right in front of there, and it's a good time. We love the beach.
And the person I was with, they had their dogs there, and there's actually a section on the beach where you can take your dogs and play with the frisbee. So we did that, and that was fun too.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun. So you had a relaxing vacation.
Yes.
Were you ready to come back and work
I was ready to come back.
You missed me, didn't you?
I got a little homesick.
You missed me, didn't you?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Oh, okay, good. Well, that's good. That means that he likes his job right here with us. So, I had a cool conversation with a lady today, and she's actually going to be on the show. It won't be next week, but the following week. And her name is Patty.
Mm-hmm. I know you had mentioned this to me, but you didn't really tell me the details.
Right, yeah. So she's went from meth addict in college, twins. She had twins. And then she has another girl, lost them, and went through the process, worked her buns off, still graduated from college, and got her kids back.
Wow.
And she is phenomenal. And I think she's going to be a great story from meth to reunification. It's coming up here on Foster Life, and I'm so excited. I talked to her on the phone, and just the talk on the phone, you know it's going to be a good interview because she is just willing to talk and share her story, and she wants to encourage foster parents, adoptive parents, but she also wants to encourage our bio parents out there. And I think that she's going to do a really good job at that. Patty's going to be on Foster Life from meth to reunification. Look for it. It won't be next week. It'll be the week after next.
I'm even excited to hear this story.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me happy to hear something like that.
Yeah, and her daughter, who is actually in a wheelchair, is, I think, going to join us on the show. I'm not sure, but I think that she's planning on bringing her as well. And so that'll be fun. To have them on the show coming up. So, did you see the New York Times today?
I haven't really honestly had time to even look.
So the New York Times, they are reporting that sometimes in foster care, so when we go through our training, the number one thing that they drill in your head, drill in your head, drill in your head, drill in your head is reunification. That should always be the number one top priority goal, reunification, reunification, reunification. Well, the New York Times is reporting today that they think that we spend too much time working towards reunification, and sometimes we're putting the kids in danger by sending them back home. For instance, I did a story on a little boy not so long ago, and we talked about it the other day, and he had been with this foster family pretty much since birth, and then at 2 went home, and he had had a outburst or a behavior or a tantrum, and the mom killed him and killed the little boy. Now, the side note to that story, I've had an update since then, and I'll just give you that now because I was thinking about it. She was pregnant when they brought her into custody, the mom that killed the little boy.
Yes.
Their new daughter has went with that foster family, and the mom has already signed over her rights and wants the foster family to adopt the daughter. So even though that's a really hard story and they lost that little boy,
it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, and the parents, I would think, would have some kind of relief knowing that his little sister is with them, and it looks like they're going to be able to adopt him. But that's kind of what the New York Times is talking about. Is we're working so hard on reunification. How many times in doing that are we actually placing kids in danger?
That would be interesting to see statistics on.
Yeah, I think that we probably should investigate that a little bit. And if you have any statistics on that, please put them into the comments here, and maybe Tristan and I can put together a show where we talk about in always putting reunification first.
I mean, we definitely know there's pros and cons to both, but it'd be nice to get statistics down to know, okay, how can we change this pattern,
right?
To make sure it's better either way.
Right, and if your kid has been severely abused and severely neglected, the goal is still reunification for the first so many days. And are we really doing right by our kids in doing that? I think it would be an interesting conversation to have. Today, we're also talking about the New York Times. They're releasing that 20,000 kids in care will be released out into the wild world for their 21st or 18th birthday. And it depends on your state. Some states it's 21 when they release you from foster care. Some states it's 18 when they release you from foster care. The concern is, and we're going to break this down today and talk about it, is what are we releasing them to? Have we prepared them? Have we set them up for success? Or have we set them up for failure?
It's honestly shocking how many kids are set up for failure.
Oh, yeah. In the foster care system, and what we can do about it to make it better. The conversation is going to start right after this on Foster Life. Talking about 20,000 kids that will be released from care in the United States either on their 18th birthday or 21st birthday. And have we prepared them, the 20,000, to fly out on their own? Now, the New York Times reports today that 769 of those will come from the inner city of New York.
I know at that age, I wouldn't even known what to do anyway.
Well,
so just some kind of structure. I know my family instilled a little bit of a structure for me to go out on my own.
Right.
But it seems like those 20,000 kids are just left with nothing.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. And so let's just think about this a little bit. So they're being released on their own. Do they have a car? Do they have a job? Do they have a place to live? Do they know how to pay bills? Do they know how to budget? I mean, when I was 21, I came from a pretty wealthy, good family. My parents were really involved in my life. And at 21, I still depended on my mom and dad a lot. I mean, there was a lot of times I was calling my mom and, what should I claim on my taxes? Hey, I don't know, am I supposed to pay my taxes now? Am I supposed to do this? How do I license my car? My car insurance went up, what do I do? I mean, so I just think of myself and how much I didn't know at 21, and we're releasing these kids from programs, and
they may not even have a job.
Right.
Or a car to get to a job if they find a job.
And the sad thing is a lot of these 20,000 kids that are being released from care don't have families. So they don't have a foster family that they're connected to. We're lucky because we got Brian when he was 17, and then he was 18, and then we adopted him when he was 19. And so we were lucky because we adopted him as an adult, and then he had us, and we can teach him and things. But we teach him a lot in our home right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
in Missouri, what age is it?
So Missouri's 21.
Okay.
And they do give you, in Missouri, they're 21, and on their, right before their 21st birthday, they send you $1,000. So that's kind of your, and I understand that my kids like that they get the $1,000 and they can do, what they want or whatever. But to me, it kind of seemed like they were free from prison, because in prison they do the same thing. They give you so much money when they release you. That's to kind of help you go. Mm-hmm. And so are we kind of treating them like,
Well, I'll just tell you right now, just to get into an apartment around here,
right?
It's at least $1,000 for your security deposit and first month's rent.
And housing is the cheapest in the state of Missouri. Out of all 50 states, housing is the cheapest in the state of Missouri. So if in Missouri you couldn't even get into a home for $1,000, think about Colorado, California, New York, Maine, all the states that are high dollar. I mean, $1,000 isn't going to do anything.
And that's just for the house.
Right.
I mean, you've got electric, you've got water that you have to pay.
Trash. And then you have to have transportation back and forth to your work. So even if you don't have a car, because I tell my kids, you know what, you can make it without a car. You wouldn't necessarily have to have a car. But if you don't have a car, then you got to have public transportation. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay for that, or you got to be able to pay for, some way. Or if a friend is going to take you back and forth, they're going to probably still want at least some gas money. Yeah. And so, are they ready to take that on? The statistics are a little bit interesting. And when we come back, we're going to talk about kind of the mess we're in because we haven't done our job as Americans to get them ready to be out on their own. We'll continue the conversation when we come back. Tristan, it is good to have you back in the house.
It feels great to be back.
Now, I love Courtney, and I really like her here, and I'm glad that she filled in for you. But having you back in your seat and having things kind of back to normal. Courtney's gone though right now.
Yeah.
She's off.
Hopefully she's off enjoying her vacation.
Oh my gosh, she's down there in the Keys, and I've been checking the temperatures, and I'm sure she's having a good time. She sent me a couple of videos, and I'm hoping she comes back because it's nice down there right now. I think they're in the mid 70s,
Well, I
80s.
saw on Facebook she's posting all about the ocean and
Oh,
how
yeah.
pretty it is down there.
And we love it down in the Keys and often go down there. And if you're viewing from the Keys, we would love to come down there and do a show on our Foster Life Summer Tour that we'll be doing this year. We'll be telling you more about those in the upcoming episodes. Today we're talking about the 20,000 kids in care that will be released out of care because they've turned 21 or 18. Most states, when they release them, give them some kind of money to release them from care.
Which we talked about earlier isn't all that much
Right.
if you really think about it.
Here in Missouri, my boys get $1,000 when they turn 21. And like you said, that wouldn't even cover the apartment because you need the first and last month's rent and all of that stuff and
Right.
deposits and everything. So it's really not a lot to get them going. So here's what the New York Times is saying. There's a high percentage of these kids that come out of care that we have not properly given them the proper tools and education to survive on their own. And there's a large percentage of those kids that end up being incarcerated. But the fact of that is, not only are they being incarcerated, but it's almost purposely, if you get what I'm saying. They don't want to be homeless. They don't want to be without food. They don't want to be without housing.
Oh, yeah, and these winter months and where we live, I mean, it's cold out there.
Right, and they don't want to pay the bill. I mean, maybe they want to pay the bills, but they don't know how to budget and pay bills.
Right.
So they go get themselves in trouble.
Unfortunately.
Right, and then they get into the system, and
Then they're just stuck in the system.
yeah, they're stuck in the system, and then when they get released, they kind of repeat because we haven't given them the proper training and tools to survive on their own. And that means, in my opinion, that we're failing as the American citizens.
Yes.
And I know we have a lot of Christians that watch, and that's great, or we have a lot of other religions that watch too. And we're taught that we're supposed to take care of the orphans and the widows. One of the most important things, right there. And I'm not sure that we're doing a good job doing that if
It
we're not
doesn't seem
giving
that
them
way.
the tools. Right. If we're not giving them the tools and we're not giving them the structure to do that, are we doing right by them? And then, here's the other part of it. A lot of these kids are on medication. Well, if their health insurance runs out and it comes down to paying this or going and paying for their medication, you know what they're going to pick. And I just heard of a case today where the kid took off, an adult, and we know that this youth is not going to take the medications that they need to take, and as a result, the youth is probably going to commit a crime, and we're going to have a
Well, I know it's tough for
situation.
me. Like whenever I had knee surgery, it was tough for me to stay on the medication that I needed to.
Right.
I had to have somebody there to say, hey, at this time you need to take this because I was busy working or I was busy doing something else in order to occupy my time.
Right,
So,
and that's all things that we have to kind of train for. I know that there are programs, like in our city, we live in Springfield, Missouri. There's a program here that mentor kids that come out of the system.
do you know if that's in a year, 2 years?
I think it's kind of set up on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
So, if they have a mentality level that is much lower than a normal 21-year-old or a traditional 21-year-old, then they might take on longer. If they're doing well or whatever, then
It
they
could only be a couple
right.
months or something.
But some of these kids, for instance, some of these kids are disabled. They don't know how to one, apply for disability, and it's a project.
I've heard it is.
Oh yeah, it's lots of paperwork and stuff, and they deny everybody the first time. You got to get a lawyer, all of that stuff. So some of these kids need to be on disability, and then once they're on disability, I don't know that they have the tools to manage that money and to budget the way they need to,
Yes.
so that they can survive.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do we do?
Well, not only that, or maybe they're in a home that's not accessible for disability,
Right.
but that's the only thing they could afford at that time.
Right. Good friend of ours was just in a meeting with the local judge here today, and the conversation that he was having with these attorneys in the area was how he does not want these kids in residential. He wants them to have short stays. He wants them in foster homes and therapeutic homes. Well, foster homes and therapeutic homes, that starts with us. That starts with you. That starts with your friends and family. And we do need more of those. And I think that that's kind of the key right there.
Yeah.
Because I know, with our older boys, I can teach them things. For instance, our oldest son, he works. He doesn't go to school, so he pays some rent. He pays part of his car insurance. We help him with that. He pays his car payment. But we kind of work with him.
Well, he at least understands how much it actually is, and he's starting to get in his mind,
right?
Hey, I probably need to pay this much, but also be thinking I need to save this much,
right,
in order to pay for that on my own.
Yep. And then he's our chore boss, so all the chores fall under him, and he's responsible making sure they're done right, all that stuff. So we can teach him some responsibility by having him in our home instead of just putting him out on the street. And he has a friend that aged out of foster care, and he just got evicted from his apartment.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of that situation where he aged out, went out on his own, and he got evicted. Mm-hmm. And I'm not too sure that we can really blame it on responsibility. A lot of that is trained. I wasn't the best with money when I was younger, but my mom and dad trained me, and they taught me, and they...
Yeah, exactly how I was.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to even do with the money that I was getting from mowing yards or whatever. So my dad, he was like, well, you might want to just start a savings account, or you might want to start like a checking account. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Right.
And then that's how I slowly started saving money and was able to start doing things and get out on my own.
Right. I had a really good job in high school and out of high school. I worked for a publishing company. I made very good money for my age. And my mom would tell me, I'd get paid, and my mom would tell me on the phone, now, Rob, remember your house payment's coming up, and you're going to have to pay this, and you're going to have to pay that. And it wasn't that I was immature or whatever. I was young.
Yep.
And she knew that I would probably rather go out to the college bar and play pool or something.
Or go spend your money on an expensive car.
Right. So she wanted to make sure that I was planning for what I needed to come.
Yes.
And where do these kids go? So you have a kid that goes out there and they're on their own and never have been on their own before, and who's there to kind of guide them and to remind them and to direct them and to mentor them so that they're set up for success? We're going to continue this conversation when we come back.
Hi, join us for Mama T's Cooking Big. Weekdays.
We're back here on Thoughts of Life today. We're talking about the New York Times released an interesting article about the 20,000 kids that are in care that are going to age out of the foster system this year. 769 of those will be in the inner city of New York. And they've started a new program that is really kind of interesting. So let me just refresh everybody's memory. If you're between the ages of 12 and 18, adoption rate goes way down. People typically don't want to adopt kids that are between those
Everybody
ages.
loves the babies.
Yeah, they want the younger ones. They want kids under 12. So New York started this place called You Gotta Believe. The older adoption permanency motivated movement in New York. So what You Gotta Believe does is these kids who are aging out at 18 through 21, they are training people, volunteers, to take classes. They background check them. They don't do as in-depth of a study as a foster home, but they still do a background check. They put them through some training, and then they try to connect them with older kids, 18, 21, and up, to adopt.
And I heard that you can even go to a park or something and
Yeah.
hang out and talk to the kids as well.
Yeah, so they say, how do we find such people? So what they do is they have gatherings like at a park, or they'll have picnics, or they'll have different events that they plan, and all of these people come, all of these youth come, and they kind of mingle around each other, and they start connecting, and then they build relationships, and it's a safe environment, so the kid doesn't have to feel overwhelmed, but also so the parents don't have to be overwhelmed, because if you're a foster parent, or an adoptive parent, or even a kinship parent, you know what I'm talking about. On that first day, I am a nervous wreck. And I know that I'm good with kids, but I'm just nervous and all anxious and everything, so it's just a non-threatening environment for them.
Well, that's just how I am meeting anybody new.
Right.
I'm just nervous and on edge anyway.
Right.
So.
So you just want to, so that's one of the things. So you meet with a family recruiter, and so the family recruiter will try to match you up, or you can go to one of these events and they match them up. But what they do, not only, then they have a family, a forever family. And no kid, obviously, if they're 18 or older, has to be adopted by I mean,
right.
When we adopted Brian, he was 18, so he had to meet with our attorney, sign that he wanted to be adopted. When we went to court, the judge had to ask him if he wanted to be adopted, and if we wanted to adopt him, and it was more, both sides, because he was an adult, and he could make his own decision. But what they're hoping, a lot of these kids have no family at all. None. Zero. So they're hoping that they connect these kids so that they at least have a family. And then because they have a family, they can teach them some responsibilities.
Yes.
But then also they always have somebody to kind of fall back on and depend on, like you would with a normal family. And I don't know about you, but I mean, now I'm pretty independent. I mean, I have 10 kids.
Well, it's always nice to just have that one person to go to for advice.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like, hey, I need $100, or hey, I need $200. It's,
Right.
hey, I need to understand this certain subject, and I know that you know it, so if you could just give me advice.
Right. I know you find that hard to believe, but I just turned 49. And when times get tough in my life, or if things are good in my life, or I'm stressed in my life, or whatever, I have certain family members that I call and I just kind of vent to. And could you imagine going through this life with no family at all and not having that connection? Friends are one thing. Friends are a beautiful thing. And I have lots of friends out there, and I have lots of support out there. But family is different than friends.
Yeah, there's just certain things that you'd rather talk to family about than you would friends.
Right, and knowing that you have that safe place, and as a family, I mean, here's how we roll. If you're our family and you're a part of our family, we're there for you through thick and thin. And you know what? If my kid did a heinous crime, I might be totally against it. I might be disappointed. I might be hurt. But that's my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to stand by my kid.
Right.
And I'm going to be there for my kid. Even if they're looking at life in prison, I'm going to be there.
You love them.
Right. And I'm going to show up for visits, and I'm going to do what I need to do. But that's what we do as a family. And I can't imagine these 20,000 kids, the ones that are looking at being incarcerated. I did prison ministry. It's awful. I tell my kids all the time, you don't want to go down that road. It's, ugh. And then, on top of that, imagine not having any family. So even if they're not incarcerated, but yeah, even if they're not incarcerated, having no family at all. Mm-hmm. Just living through this life and kind of going through and not having really any family to fall back on. So
I couldn't imagine.
Right.
I couldn't imagine at all.
I want to hear from you in your comments. And when you comment, I look at every single one. Tristan looks at every single one. Courtney looks at every single one. That's what we do. We're here to advocate. We're not here just to be on TV. We're here to advocate for you, to learn from you, to help the foster care system, to work for you. That's what we're here to do. So I want you to comment. If you have ideas on what we can do better, I want to know. I'm the guy that will call Washington, D.C. and get the conversation started there. I promise you. I will call governors, I'll call senators, I'll call congressmen. They don't intimidate me. And we need to start those conversations. If you have ideas, if there's something that your community is doing for kids that have aged out of foster care that is working beautifully, I want to know about it.
If you have any stories that you'd want to share as well.
Right.
Good stories about fostering kids or adopting kids, we'd like to hear about it also.
Yeah, and adopting kids that are adults. If you've adopted a kid that's an adult who had aged out of foster care, we would love to have that story. And we would love for you to put it in the comments. If you don't feel comfortable putting it in the comments, if you hit message and write it, the only people that see that is our segment producer, Tristan, and myself.
Yep.
So just write us, and we'd like to hear. Anything on this topic would be helpful. When we come back, we're going to wrap up today talking about the 20,000 kids that will be released from care at the end of this year.
The real national emergency is foster care. Learn more today.
Today we've been talking about the 20,000 kids who will be released from care this year.
At the age of 18 or 21.
Depending on your state and what happens with them. We want to get this conversation started because I think we can do a much better job. There's got to be things that we can put in place in our states to do right by these
just like the movement that is happening in New York.
Right. And some of the cool things that they're doing there. We want to hear about what your state is doing for kids that are in care that are going to age out. March 2nd.
We'll be in
Branson, Missouri. We're going to be spending our spring break there. We're going to do mini golf. We'll have prizes.
Live studio audience.
Food. Mini golf. If you are a foster family, it's $5 to get in. Anybody else can get in for the normal price. Come and see us, come and meet us, and we want you to be a part of our show. It's from 11 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like an open house, so you just show up whenever you want, and you leave whenever you want. But we would like to meet you, and we want you to come by. All the money that's made that day at the mini golf place, the owner is donating back to us so that we can use it for foster care and to do the things that we need to do to get information to foster parents, adoptive parents, kinship parents, and social workers around the world. And I can't believe that, but our world base keeps growing. We have
growing and growing every day.
Yeah, we have viewers now in Canada and Italy and all over, Australia, the Netherlands, all over, and so that's a cool thing. And I learned from them too, because a lot of times they'll send me a message and tell me kind of how they do things in their area, and I'm thinking, Canada, they have some really neat things that they do in foster care, and I think us Americans could kind of learn from them. It would be neat for us to kind of look at their program and see what we can do differently as well. Coming up this summer, Foster Life on summer tour.
15 cities.
15 cities. We could come to your city. We will do any topic that you want us to talk about with foster parents or whatnot. If you'd like to book us in your city, you can get the information right here at the bottom of the screen, and that tells you how to get in contact with us. We will be doing not only workshops for foster parents and adoptive parents and kinship parents, we also will be doing workshops for bio parents whose kids are in care, and we'd love to meet you as well. If you'd like us to come to your city, get in contact with us today. Also, we'll be doing 3 fundraisers this summer as well. One in Nashville, Tennessee on Music Row. And we're excited to get back to my old stomping grounds down there in Nashville.
Stomping grounds.
Yeah. And then we're going to also be in Colorado, which is my earlier days stomping grounds. That was where I was born and raised. And we're going to go to my hometown, and they're always so good and generous, and we'll be doing a fundraiser there. And then we'll be doing another fundraiser, and we'll announce that one later. I'm thinking it might be in Florida because we're going to go to Disney World this summer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and my best friend lives in Florida, and his wife does amazing fundraisers. So maybe if she sees lots of comments on here, we could do a fundraiser down there in Florida.
Or if you have any other ideas for a fundraiser, go ahead and let us know.
Let us know. And those fundraisers, what that does is help put money back into the foster care system in areas that are needed. It also helps us with our advertising and promotions so that we can continue to bring you good information and start conversations around the country. Tomorrow, or yesterday, did you see?
Did I see?
My son's brand new show premiered
Yes.
last night at 7 p.m. Mama T's Cooking Big.
Roz is looking good on that show.
Yeah, Rosley, the judge. That's my son. He's 6 years old, and I'm darn proud of him. And since he was like 3, he wanted to be in TV just like his daddy. And he does an amazing show. And I got to tell you, Mama T, if you're listening or you're watching right now, plug your ears. But the star of the show is Rosley, because he's super funny. But he tells little secrets about me. Like in last night's episode, he told everybody, my dads drink wine. Jeez, cut it down. We're not like drugs. Yeah.
Comes to things, but he is definitely the life of the party.
Right. You can catch him on Foster TV every Thursday at 7 p.m. Till next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
On Foster Life.
Woo!